On January 1st of this year, a multi-alarm fire destroyed an apartment building in the flats section of the city of Holyoke. An electrical issue has been determined to be the cause of the blaze, which took 3 lives and left many displaced and with nothing. Connecting Point correspondent Carolee McGrath talked to some of those impacted by the fire and spoke with Holyoke Mayor Alex Morse for an update on the response and on his thoughts on how to prevent tragedies like this from happening in the future. Carolee spoke first with Milton Galarza, who lost his friend and roommate in the tragic conflagration on New Year's Day.
It was New Year's Eve. Trevor opened our door and he woke up. The fire was already all over the building, the hallway. He looked for escape. He came back. He had some fire in his jacket already. He was a little in pain, but he got up and he tried to look for escape. I get nervous when I see what that was happening. I got a baby coming, so I was looking for the safety of my family, of my woman and my child. So we hang out in a window with a lot of faith, and we made it.
Do you believe that Trevor saved you guys?
Yeah, he's my savior. Trevor is my hero. If it wasn't for him, we shouldn't be slipping and already covered on fire. It wasn't for her. He's my hero. All I got for him is respect, and I know he's in a better place. We're really, really grateful with how the city, the mayor, helped us with stuff that we needed, stuff for my baby, and wow, it's incredible how people come together and help us.
I've spoke to a lot of families, like, okay, they lost material things, but they don't care about that. Just the trauma of what happened and the way that fire, and, it was just bad. And, it's going to be a while before some of them get right.
You were talking about some of the many heroes that you've heard about and talked to since you've been here.
Yes, there's been quite a few heroes that really helped out that building and catching babies, and it was just unbelievable, and putting kids out the windows, and it was just amazing, It's a great community, and the outpouring of the help in this community has been unbelievable. Holyoke is a beautiful city, and we're strong, and that we're a community, and we're here to help out anyone that needs it.
One of the issues here is that the building was not sprinklered, and the fire chief said definitively this afternoon that if there had been sprinklers throughout the building, not just in the hallways but in the apartments, this fire could have been contained, and life certainly would have been saved.
Can you explain a little bit about that, though? And can you just spell out what the law is currently on sprinkler systems?
From a city perspective, we require sprinklers when it is new construction and significant renovation. So the state law defines it as significant renovation and or new construction. And so what cities oftentimes argue with developers and building owners about is, what does significant renovation mean? This building in particular wasn't one of those debates. It's an older building with building codes, state and local, that didn't require sprinklers at the time. Obviously, a building owner could decide to, on their own, install a sprinkler system. And so that is an issue that a lot of cities and towns across the Commonwealth have been struggling with. We've even taken it as far as the state Supreme Judicial Court to argue that building owners in our community, one in particular that was doing what we call the significant renovation, needed to install a sprinkler system before he was able to advertise to get tenants to move into the building. And so we've continued to be big advocates for sprinkler systems. Our building commissioner and our fire chief, like I said, to the point we went to the state's highest court. So we're going to continue to do that.
Now, one of the issues that's come up is the issue of the brownout, and the president of the Holyoke Firefighters Union had said that the temporary removal of engine 2 was a problem and could have impacted the response. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, there's no evidence that indicates it would have made a difference, and the fire union president himself says may or may not. And so, what that says to many folks is that, the fire union president, immediately wants to politicize what is a crisis that we're continuing to work on. The fire chief himself has grown through the ranks of the fire department, has been fire chief for over 5 years now. He reiterated this afternoon that the engine 2 would not have made a difference at the time, but let's also remember what happened after the call. The biggest delays here, I'll remind the public, is that number one, there was no sprinkler system, and number two, there was no monitored system that connected directly to the fire department that was operating on the day of the fire. And so those were two huge obstacles. And as I said before, fires travel within seconds. And so to think about minutes before the fire department even got a call. Once the fire department was called, they got there very quickly under PFMA standards. Engine 1 responded, as well as a ladder truck and Engine 3. Engine 3 in the city did everything that Engine 2 would have done, supplied the water to Engine 1, and then once the deputy chief got to the call, within 3.5 minutes, they did a general call, which means all engines, all trucks in the city, including Engine 2, actually responded to the fire. It was also at that time that we called in mutual aid, and so East Hampton, Chicopee, and South Hadley also sent their engine companies, and so all hands are on deck for fires of this magnitude, brownout or no brownout.
Now you talked about the sprinkler system, which could have made a difference. What can the city do to change this for the number of old buildings, or does this have to be something that's taken on by the state?
There's some things that municipalities can do, and there's some things that we can't do. I know different cities have tried different things, and some of those things have been overturned by judges when sued by private companies or otherwise. We have a very strong fire prevention department within the fire department that works on public education, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. We do inspections of buildings, both the building department and the fire department. We're already putting our thinking caps on with the fire chief and building commissioner. How can we work with building owners to know the advantages, obviously, of installing sprinkler systems? We've literally had to spend city resources to defend our city codes and state laws around sprinkler systems because a lot of building owners don't want to spend the tens of thousands of dollars that are needed to install a sprinkler system. There's also what are called monitored systems, typically around $10,000. When you think about some of these buildings being valued over $1 or $2 million, a $10,000 investment to have a monitored system that would connect a local alarm to the fire department seems like a no-brainer. And so one of the things we want to focus on is how locally can we require buildings that are multifamily to have these monitored systems. And then within state law, how can we continue to require sprinkler systems, perhaps not just in substantial renovations and new construction, but how can we look at these buildings that already exist in the city and potentially install sprinkler systems? I know that's going to be an extensive conversation, and maybe we could, start with the corridors and the hallways. Everything would help to be able to mitigate a situation like this.
All right, Mayor Alex Morse, thank you so much for spending the time and telling us about the latest on this tragedy.
Thank you.